You know what's ironic about Bob Seger? He had a very, very important hits through the years, and he had a bunch of collaborators, including members of the Eagles, that probably motivated him to become a better artist and performer. Now, one of those songs with Glenn Frey and backup vocals playing a very important role is I consider this sort of like the middle age anthem of the 1980s, Against the Wind. Now, the song was written and recorded by Seger for his 11th studio album, which was of the same name. Released as a second single from the album in April '80 through Capitol, he recorded the ballad during a 2-year process that begat his 11th album. It was recorded at Criteria Studios in North Miami, Florida. Sonically, Against the Wind is a mid-tempo rock tune with piano backing. It was recorded with Seger's Silver Bullet Band and features backing vocals again from Eagles co-frontman Glenn Frey. Now, the album version is quite a bit longer at 5:34, single version about 4 minutes. Against the Wind, against a haunting ballad, explores the space between care and indifference from friends and loved ones. It centers on maturation and memories, like many other Seger songs, and carries a tender, mellow tone. Seger pulled from his high school years as a cross-country runner to form the song's title, a metaphor for growing old. Against the Wind became one of Seger's most successful singles, reaching number 5 in the Billboard Hot 100. It also charted in Canada, Australia, and Belgium. It received high marks from music critics, with many praising Seger's songwriting. The song has been celebrated by generations of country artists, with covers by artists as diverse as Garth Brooks and Brooks and Dunn. Now, Against the Wind developed over a 2-year period when Seger was recording its parent album. He was driven by the desire to have a number 1 album and aimed to record hit singles for his 11th release, emphasizing a deliberately commercial sound. Seger felt more comfortable than before working in the studio. He personally opened up more to others and distinguished it as the most fulfilled he had felt as a songwriter to that point. Not to say he was selling out, but I think he wanted a big hit that would be just as strong as Night Moves. Now, for Against the Wind, he worked with Eagles producer Bill Sykes. The recording process was handled at higher quality studios than before, with emphasis on polish and getting things right. Strong production. The song includes, again, backing vocals from Glenn Frey. Seger and Frey had met in the mid-60s when they were both working the Detroit club scene, and had remained close. A year prior, Seger co-wrote and made a guest appearance on Eagles' Heartache Tonight. Like much of his parent album, Against the Wind is a mellow, mid-tempo ballad with country rock overtones. Steve Pond and Rolling Stone identified it as one of many Seger's mediums, mid-tempo tunes with loping tempos and subdued instrumentation. Lyrically, Against the Wind centers on growing older and finds Seger confronting his memories and yearning for the simplicity of past times. It returns to familiar nostalgic territory for Seger. He characterized Wind as the final part of a trilogy of sentimental songs following Night Moves and Brave Strangers. During an interview, he said that Against the Wind came about from his days as a high school cross-country runner. He described the song as about trying to move ahead, keeping your sanity and integrity at the same time. Now, a writer at Billboard described Against the Wind as a mid-tempo folky tale of young love featuring pretty piano backing. Seger references Janie in the opening lyrics of the song. This refers to Janie Dinsdale, with whom he had a long-term relationship from 72 until 83. In Rolling Stone, Seger elaborated on the song's meaning. Janie says to me all the time, you allow more people to walk in you than anybody I've ever known. And I always say it's human nature that people are going to love you sometimes and they're going to use you sometimes. Knowing the difference between when people are using you and when people truly care about you, that's what Against the Wind is all about. The people in the song have weathered the storm, and it made them much better that they've been able to do it and maintain whatever relationship. To get through is a real victory. Now, in the tune, Seger second guesses his career choice, particularly aspects of touring, which he describes as a moving 8 miles a minute for months at a time, which, of course, it's airline speed. He mulls that he may have lost his way, focusing too much attention on breaking all the rules that would bend. It famously includes the line, wish I did know now what I didn't know then, which Seger later admitted bothered him for a while in a grammatical sense. The song ends with a renewed determination to keep going. As the song begins its outro, Seger concedes he's older now but still running against the wind. Now, its tone has been described as reflective and bittersweet. New York Times columnist John Paredes once characterized Against the Wind as a song about crumbling hopes and the recognition of limits. while music critic Maury Dean considered its topic all the burdens we'll ever have to face. Now, Robert Hilburn, writing for the LA Times, described the song as a heartful expressions of the search for innocence and integrity in a world where both qualities seem in short supply. Though no music video was made for Against the Wind at time of release, a lyric video commemorating its 40th anniversary saw release on YouTube in 2020. And of course, that's the iconic cover with the horses running through the water. Anybody that was growing up in the 80s and fell in love remembers that scene. The clip showcases songwriting atop classic Seger imagery, animated horses, motorcycles, and vast American highways. Now, Against the Wind was issued as a second single from the album of its same name in April '80. Seger had no interest as to which songs were released as singles, and he simply left it up to Capitol to decide. Wind was chosen by the label's promotional director, Steve Mayer. Against the Wind debuted at number 54 on the Hot 100 in the week ending May 3rd, '80. It was the highest debuting single of the week. It moved in the top 30 the following week, and it moved to the top 10 at the end of the month. It reached its peak at number 5 in the Hot 100 on June 14th because of heavy airplay on pop, rock, and country charts. It held at the position for 3 weeks. After that, it began to descend from the top and last appeared in the chart all the way into August. It remained on the chart as a whole for 17 weeks, with 11 lows spent in the top 40. During this time, the single also climbed the magazine's Hot Adult Contemporary chart, where it peaked at number 7. Internationally, the song was successful as well. In Canada, it reached number 6 on the all-genre singles chart, compiled by RPM. It reached the lowest position on Belgium's top 30 in January '81, and peaked at number 92 on Australian Kent Music Report. Now, Rolling Stone critic Dave Marsh stated in his review of Against the Wind album that none of the ballads, including the title track, contained any memorable lines, but he later amended that to acknowledge that the lines, "Well, those drifters' days are past me now, I've so much more to think about. Deadlines and commitments, what to leave in, what to leave out." I think he was just losing his mind why Seger was trying for such a commercial sound at the time. He stated later on that these lines are not only memorable, but also haunting in a way Seger haltingly expresses his indecisiveness. Hilburn at the LA Times praised Seger's timeless, often graceful everyman edge. He lends to Against the Wind and his tension between the idealism that he searches for and the pitfalls in realizing his dreams. Now, I can tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, I've had my dreams fulfilled in my life, but the problem is I'm not alone because only one person can really enjoy that dream. It's yourself. It's a very lonely existence. Now, Cashbox called it a thoughtful ballad, saying that the light folk guitar melody is perfectly punctuated by piano touches and subdued rhythm. Cashbox also called the vocal phrasing and lyrics compelling. Now, Rolling Stone Readers' poll ranked Against the Wind as the third best Seger tune. Classic rock history critic J.D. Roberts rated it as Seger's fourth best song, calling it one of the most beautiful songs he had written in his career. Now, Against the Wind, again, has remained one of Seger's most popular songs. Upon its arrival to streaming service in 2017, it ranked its second most streamed song behind Night Moves. But Night Moves was augmented by a video that came out years later. Now, Against the Wind, of course, was famously used in a scene in the '94 film Forrest Gump, where the main character runs across the U.S., and it was included on its accompanying soundtrack album. Now, Against the Wind has been celebrated by generations of contemporary country artists. Toby Keith's '94 single, Wish I Didn't Know Now, borrows a lyric from Against the Wind. Brooks and Dunn performed a cover of the song in '99 that charted at number 55 in the country songs charts based on unsolicited airplay. Of the duo, Ronnie Dunn called it one of the songs that shaped his taste and suggested influence. This is one of those songs that lyrically we try to write to the end of the '90s. We were just taking Seger's era of rock and applying to what we're doing in country at the time. Now, Vince Gill is a big fan of the song, singing out Against the Wind. As a composition, he felt rivaled the work of Lennon McCartney or Paul Simon. Garth Brooks, again, recorded a cover of the song for his 2016 box set, as did the Highwaymen for the debut album. Other artists for varying genres have also covered the tune, including alternate rock group The Hold Steady. Now, again, Seger, lead vocals, acoustic guitar, background vocals, Drew Abbott on electric guitar, Chris Campbell on bass, David Teagarden on drums, and Glenn Fry did the background vocals, while Paul Harris was on piano and organ. Now, again, top 5 in the States, top 6 in Canada. top 30 in Belgium, top 92 in Australia. Year-end charts, 41 in Canada, 51 in the US, and platinum in the US through the RIAA for certified unit sales. So, ladies and gentlemen, the song, the best indication of this, back in the day when Against the Wind would come on the radio, people would turn up the radios because everybody knew the intro. And you would really rarely see it played at teen dances or adult dances because it wasn't really a dancing ballad. It was more like a drinking song. It's the closest I think Bob Seger's ever come to George Jones for, if you want to make a drunk, listen to the song. So, ladies and gentlemen, Against the Wind, one of the seminal songs of my childhood, one of the biggest songs in Bob Seger's history, and I think one of his most underrated songs because Seger was known as a heavy rocker, but here he became kind of a pop rocker, and he was kind of typecast for a while. I don't think he tried Like a Rock, might be a sequel to Against the Wind, depends how you look at it, but that was more like for a car commercial. We don't want to talk about that. So Bob Seger, again, one of the most underrated artists of the last 50 plus years. He goes back to the 60s. And again, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Seger sings for a lot of people that are no longer around anymore. A lot of people are passing away in recent years in their 80s and 90s. Bob Seger was the guy that was their party guy. And, Against the Wind. I wish every person who has never heard the song would hear it once and give him more recognition because it ranks as a top 1,000 song, in my opinion, in music history. Whether you agree or not, let me know what you think. So if you like what you're doing here with our music tributes, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. By the way, requests on our channel are always highly anticipated and always highly considered. Have a good one. Bye.